What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, Part 3 of the morning show today with myself, Ryan Thomas, bringing you the latest edition of the Thomas Take. Very exciting stuff. I did this morning the reaction to the possibility that Sean McDermott could become the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills. I like the move. That's the extent of that episode, but I want you to listen to the reasons why I like it. I want you to listen to my take on Mike McCoy possibly becoming the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. Also, I did a what would Ryan Thomas do as the head coach / GM of the Buffalo Bills. I went into the coaching part. I went into the Bills roster, but I didn't really go into the 2017 NFL draft. For the 2017 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills will select 10th overall in extremely lucky stroke of luck that they will pick 10th overall. The reason being is based on their strength of schedule in comparison to the teams that finished with the same or similar record to the Bills. Complete luck, completely stupid rule. It's got to be written, but it benefited the Bills, so I'm not going to complain. So, what would I do for the 2017 draft? Who would I look at? Who are some guys that come into mind for that 10th overall selection? I haven't really done my due diligence in the middle rounds quite yet. I'm not at that point. The season is still going on. The playoffs are still happening. The 2016 NFL season hasn't even ended yet. So I haven't really scoured, every single prospect in the NFL draft. But I have looked at the big name players, the guys that will probably be rated as first round picks. I've also looked at some guys on big college teams that are declaring for the NFL draft. I've also looked at some guys that people have sent me asking me what is my opinion on this particular player. And the first guy that comes to mind was someone that my dad showed me, someone that my dad sent me a video of. We share the same last name. Solomon Thomas, defensive end from Stanford. When I first heard of this guy, it was actually last season. Someone referred to him, I can't remember who it was, reporter or writer, referred to him as unblockable. And I thought, that's a big term to throw out there for a college player, unblockable. I didn't even hear that about Jadeveon Clowney. I didn't even hear that about other top pass rushing prospects when they came out of the draft. Unblockable. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a look at Solomon Thomas's film. I'm going to watch a little bit of it. Let's see if he does the name justice on the tape. And he does. That is an understatement. He has a massive build. His legs are big. He has a high motor. He's fast. He has closing speed on whoever has the ball. And although the Bills drafted Shaq Lawson in the first round of last year's draft, I think that you can never have enough pass rushers, especially when you are switching from a Rex Ryan 3-4, 4-6 defense to a Sean McDermott 4-3 defense. And wow, I mean, this guy could be very, very good. I think he's somebody that teams aren't really taking a long look at. I think he's somebody that will probably go in the first round, maybe 20 to 30. But he is somebody that I would really rate on my big board as a possible player to be selected with the 10th overall pick. I think he's one of the best pass rushers in this draft, in a draft that has quite a few of them. Jonathan Allen and Myles Jarrett come to mind as the top two, obviously. But Solomon Thomas, I think, is a fantastic player. I think wherever he goes, he's going to make an immediate impact, and he is going to be a solid pass rusher in this draft and in the NFL for many years to come. So that's the first guy that comes to my mind at the 10th overall selection for the Buffalo Bills. as well as Solomon Thomas, Jabril Peppers is a guy that comes to mind. A safety slash linebacker type player for the Michigan Wolverines. He did not play in the Orange Bowl due to a minor hamstring injury. There was kind of uproar about whether he should have played in that game. Could he have toughed it out? But he cared more about his draft stock. Whatever. I don't even care about that. But that is something that, is the recent news of Jabril Peppers. And I like Jabril Peppers. I think he's a smart guy, a smart player, for not taking the chance at hurting himself, not pulling a Jalen Smith and losing millions and millions of dollars over one bowl game that completely shattered his draft stock and allowed him to miss his entire quote-unquote rookie season as a rookie on the Dallas Cowboys. So I think that Jabril Peppers is a solid option. He's at a position of need for the Bills. Safety, linebacker, could be argued that is a need for the Bills. A big-time defensive player on a big-time team and a huge source of leadership for that Michigan Wolverines defense. Jabril Peppers is another guy that comes to mind. The next guy that comes to mind, for the Buffalo Bills is cornerback Marlon Humphrey from the University of Alabama. If Stephon Gilmore leaves the Buffalo Bills, if they decide that it's just not going to work out and they need to go in a different direction, Marlon Humphrey, I feel, is the best corner in this draft as far as what the Bills need, as far as what the Bills will use him for. He's a guy that you can highly rely on year one as a rookie to come in and make an immediate impact. I think he's a solid corner. He covered the best of the best in college at the University of Alabama. And I like Marlon Humphrey a lot. I actually like Marlon Humphrey possibly even more than Stephon Gilmore. If the Bills are in the business of saving money, then that is a transaction that would save them a lot of money. As far as the rookie wage scale, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Excuse me real quick. As far as the rookie wage scale, what they would save in terms of keeping Stephon Gilmore or drafting Marlon Humphrey, it's reported that Stephon Gilmore is looking for nearly $15 million a year. That is asinine, especially after the way he played this past season. You can contribute that to a lot of things, but for him to beg for an extension of that magnitude, I would just tell him to go away, and we're moving on without him. Marlon Humphrey on the rookie wage scale would be a lot cheaper than Stephon Gilmore. You know who else would be a lot cheaper than the current option that the Buffalo Bills have? Any of the rookie quarterbacks would be a cheaper option than what Tyrod Taylor would be if the Bills were to decide to keep him. Deshaun Watson is a guy that is on everyone's mind now that he is declaring to go into the draft after he had that massive BCS title game performance. And I really don't know if that would be the best decision for the Bills. I haven't really watched enough of Deshaun Watson, but I can tell you this. I liked what I saw of Deshaun Watson in that title game. I thought he did very well, obviously winning the game, helping Clemson come back 21 points in the fourth quarter against Alabama's defense, which is the best in the country. Very exciting player, very dynamic player. He seems like a good kid. I saw his background, where he came from. He was from the Warwick Dunn housing developments. He was given, his family was given a house. He came from really hard times, and his mother was diagnosed with tongue cancer, and she had to have her tongue removed. Just things like that. There's guys out there that have really dealt with true hardship growing up in the poverty-stricken areas of this country, and you see what type of athletes they are, but that's all well and good, but then you see the type of person that they are. Deshaun Watson seems like a really well-mannered guy, a really down-to-earth, soft-spoken young man, and I think he is a guy that one franchise will obviously decide to build their team around him. I just don't know if it's the Buffalo Bills, but he could be an option available at number 10. And if the Buffalo Bills have that much fortitude to take him and conviction to take him, then that's their decision. Very similar to my thoughts on E.J. Manuel, I was pissed when the Bills drafted E.J. Manuel to the point where I actually left my house and didn't even watch the remaining first round of that year's NFL draft. And that's how I felt. So I think I'll feel better if they take Watson. We'll leave it at that. There's quite a few options too. Jamal Adams, as far as adding a safety to the Buffalo Bills that is a true ball hawk, a true tackling safety. Jamal Adams from LSU is a guy that I really like. He's somebody that I really find to be interesting as a possible pick for the Buffalo Bills. So there you have it, guys. Those are pretty much my big board for the first round for the Buffalo Bills. I like Marlon Humphrey. I like Jabril Peppers. I like Solomon Thomas a lot. I'm very high on Solomon Thomas. And it's not just because of the last name. You can make the jokes, whatever, but I really like Solomon Thomas. I think he's going to make an immediate impact for whichever team decides to draft him. Marlon Humphrey, Jamal Adams, Marlon Humphrey, Jamal Adams, Solomon Thomas, Jabril Peppers, and Deshaun Watson. I like all five of those guys. Watson is more of a wait and see how he does. But another guy that comes to mind in the middle to late rounds is Chad Kelly, the nephew of all-time Buffalo Bills great Jim Kelly, virtually the only great quarterback the Buffalo Bills have ever had, besides Jack Kemp back in the 60s. His nephew will be in the NFL draft, but had he not had that ACL injury, he probably would have been a second or third round pick. Now his draft stock has slid tremendously. Maybe the Buffalo Bills take a flyer on him. We'll wait and see in April. That was the Thomas Take. I'm Ryan Thomas. Thanks for tuning in.